Dr. Sally Aitken, Professor of Forest Genetics in the Faculty of Forestry at the University of British Columbia, has been presented with a Scientific Achievement Award here at the 24th IUFRO World Congress in Salt Lake City, Utah. IUFRO, the International Union of Forest Research Organizations, presents these awards for outstanding work that clearly demonstrates the importance of the person's achievements to the advancement of regional or world forestry or forest research. Dr. Aitken joins us now to tell us a bit more about her work and the award. Dr. Aitken, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Now, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you're doing and why?
Sure. So I'm a forest geneticist, and I study the relationship between natural tree populations and the climates that they live in. And that work ties in a number of fields. It ties in population genetics, it ties in with quantitative genetics, genomics, and my work relates quite closely to forest ecology.
Do me a favor, and for those who may not be as conversant with the terms, the difference between genetic and genomic?
Sure. So genetic refers to any characteristic that is inherited from parents to offspring, characteristics that one population might differ from another population for. Genomic refers to the study of the genome of all of the DNA within an individual, a population, or a species. So the specific genetic code that is the blueprint for how that organism develops and grows.
I see. Okay. Now, this UFRO award, you've had a connection with UFRO for some time, I believe?
Yes, I've been connected with UFRO since I was a graduate student, and I have been involved in a number of different working groups and working parties for IUFRO, particularly population and conservation genetics, but also tree biotechnology, and some of the cross-cutting higher level meetings that have happened over the years.
I see. And what was the specific research for which you received the award?
Well, I've been studying this relationship between trees and climate since the 1990s. And at that point, my primary interest early on was how is tree breeding affecting the traits that are how a tree deals with its environment. So we find that local populations of trees are adapted to their local climates. If we go to a very wide-ranging tree species like Douglas fir or lodgepole pine, we go to warm places and cold places, we'll find that the populations differ quite a bit genetically. So I started out by studying how tree breeding was affecting those traits like cold hardiness or timing of growth and dormancy. But that very quickly and very naturally led into looking at the potential implications of climate change for those populations.
I see. Now, what originally sparked your interest in that area?
Well, I've always been fascinated by evolutionary biology. My father was a geologist, and when I was a very young child, I spent time at the Burgess Shale, a famous fossil deposit in the Rocky Mountains, and I was interested in evolution, in the evolution of life, but I wanted to go into a field that had applications.
I see. Well, let's talk about the award again. What does it mean to you?
It means a great deal to me. I think that to be recognized by my colleagues and not just my local colleagues or my forest genetics colleagues, but in this broader realm of forestry research is truly an honor. And I look at the other people who received that award this year and who have received it in the past, and it makes me feel very, very privileged and very honored to be joining that group of scientists that I have a lot of respect for.
I'm sure it was well deserved. Now, you're presenting two papers at this Congress. Mm-hmm. Can you sort of give us a little sneak preview of what they might be about?
Sure. So I'll be talking about the results of, I'll be talking about the AdapTree project, which is a large-scale genomics project that I lead that involves about 30 people, several universities, and lots of really wonderful collaborators. And so we are looking at this relationship between genetics and climate in order to better inform reforestation strategies for new climates. And the two talks I'll be giving really are about two different parts of that project. First of all, I'll be talking about the genetic side, the genomic side, the analyses we're doing of important traits and the DNA sequence variation that affects those traits, and how we can use that information in conjunction with climatic information to recommend better seed sources for current and future climates. So it really relates to reforestation decisions and forest management. Although the same work relates very directly to whether our tree populations have enough genetic variation that they can adapt on their own if we don't intervene. So for all those natural populations in parks, in protected areas, ecological reserves, can they adapt on their own? The other talk that I'm giving is about the values and perceptions of stakeholders to the different practices that we could change to adapt forest management to climate change. For example, a public survey that was done by my collaborators within the AdapTree project, looking at opinions about practices ranging from leaving natural regeneration to take its course, to changing seed sources, to breeding, and even to genetically modified organisms. Looking at that whole spectrum of practices that could be considered to adapt forests to climate change, and looking at what people's perceptions are of those. Now, I should say we're not working on genetically modified trees, but that was one end of a scale of technological intervention and manipulation that was evaluated.
I see. Okay, one last question. Do you have any advice for young women interested in going into forest research, and particularly into forest genetics?
Sure. If they are interested in it, they should absolutely go into it, pursue it. I think there are so many questions waiting to be answered. There's so many new technologies to let us help answer those questions. And I think that the other thing that I would recommend is that they seek out mentors along the way, because I know that the mentors I've had have been so wonderful, both women and men, and they've helped to guide my career and to help me do the things that I've done.
That's great. Dr. Aitken, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.